Good evening and welcome to the Orville rewatch. So we've been away for a while, but we're back, and some people have had grand voyages. Some of us just got drunk and curled. So you know what? We're all back though. The team is back. The crew is back.
Almost a month,
It's
right?
been almost a month. Yes, it's actually. I think it might actually be exactly a month. But you know what? The good news is we're all here now. And we're here to talk about Orville Season 3, Episode 7. That is, of course, From Unknown Graves. Exciting. All right. Anyway, but, of course, as I said, my voyage is never complete without my amazing buds to be here for me. And, of course, we have the amazing producer extraordinaire. That is, of course, the man who likes to hang out in the adult section of Star Trek The Cruise. That, of course, is Dave Mater.
Well, it's not. It's actually more of Adam's area, I think. Really,
Oh,
okay. That's where I was like, where could Adam be when I had to search the ship, and that was the place I found him in. So,
I can't say I wouldn't be there either, honestly. So, don't feel so bad.
it's the only place you can get some quiet reading done, apparently.
Yeah. I'm sure that's what it's called, reading. But anyway, of course, we also have mustache extraordinaire, the man with the beard. That is, of course, the one, the only, Kevin Millard.
And the man who would never leave the adult area.
Here you go, Kevin.
As a person who has drank with you on many occasions, I will say yes, that is completely accurate. All right, and of course, rounding off our crew is the man who needs no introduction because he's such a handsome man. That, of course, is, well, I don't even need to say his name, but I will anyway. It's Adam Woodward.
Thank you. Hey, I have two things to say because that was quite the introduction, Dave. It was quiet over there. There was always seats available.
Well, yeah, quite the show.
That's because they're sharing seats over there.
But there was lots of things to look at. Yeah. And then also, I got it. You called out Dave as being the producer extraordinaire. I've got to give him kudos and Davin for the great interview with Tim Russ last week. That was great.
Oh, thank you.
Look at it, guys. Go have a look. It was really good.
It's where the group is expanding with no help from me. But anyway, there you go. But of course, we're not here to talk about Tim Russ, even though he is a very extraordinary man. And please watch that interview if you get a chance, because very enlightening, actually. I learned a lot of things.
I will say one thing, because it was interesting, is that on the cruise, he walked away around with this like sour face, like don't approach me kind of look, and
yeah, but when you're a guy who's like in the element of the Star Trek world, the guy gets pestered constantly.
I know. And
so
actually,
I'm sure that's why he has the grumpy face.
I'm sure it is, because my first night on the cruise, which was Wednesday night, I was up later than Dave and Jane, and I ran into him with a group of other people, and he was very personable at that conversation. But he does walk around with his dour look, says, "Don't look at me, don't talk to me."
Resting bitch face.
The Tuvok face, I would call it.
Yeah. On the
at least it wasn't Tuvix.
He was very, very good to see him. Just like
we talked about Tuvix in the interview too, so
I know.
Learned a lot, Dave. That was great.
No, thank you. Yeah, well, I did enjoy myself thoroughly talking to him. So yeah, go check out the Tuvix, or no, not the Tuvix interview, the Tuvok interview, with Tim Russ, of course. Like Renaissance man, like musician, actor, just astronomer. All these things. He's got a lot going on, and I learned a lot more things about Tim Russ I never knew, and I'm glad for it. So thank you.
Well, there you go. Nothing wrong with that.
We even talked about the Orville.
Did you know?
Yeah. We, he talked about Seth MacFarlane, how meticulous he is with as a director and making these episodes. And then he said, I went and did the TED show, like the teddy bear show.
Yeah.
And he was like, he wasn't like that at all when we did that show. He didn't give a damn. He was like, well, I don't know, one take. It's funny
Different
enough.
circumstances.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
The other thing that was, I'm appreciating the Orville more now after watching Brandon Braga speak.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, on the cruise, we have Brandon Braga. He was like, the other Star Trek show, The Orville. And a lot of people clapped, myself included.
Well, that just goes to show you that there's room for more, right? There's always room for more. Anyway, let's get into this episode, guys. This is an interesting episode, to say say the least. I don't know how you guys are going to feel about it. This is one of those episodes where as I'm watching it, I'm going, I have no idea how these guys are going to react to this. So.
Well, I'll start it off just by saying I loved this episode. I thought this was incredible. It had multiple storylines. They were all interesting and/or funny. Some funnier than others. Some more touching than others. And I think with the whole slavery aspect, like how deeply profound and disturbing it is, but also very relatable in human history with slavery, and a lot topical here with like the artificial intelligence. And we're, on the Next Gen podcast, we're working up to Measure of a Man in a couple weeks, and there's that whole speech from Picard in that episode about how will we be judged on how we treat that race, that artificial race that's created, and so a lot of tones of that in this episode. Growth of the characters. I have a lot of great things to say about this episode, and
save them for while we're talking. But yeah, I appreciate that, Dave. Kevin, what were your quick thoughts on this episode?
I'm completely the opposite. This was boring.
I had a feeling you might have been.
This was really boring. It's too many stories. There's 5 stories in this. None of them told well. They're all just shallow. No, I would have taken way more Kaelon origin story, and did we need? What were this other race called? I can't remember now.
The women.
We did this already with the Mocklins. We don't need it. Get rid of it.
Well, they even said that in the show. They're like, this is basically the opposite of the Mocklin situation. Like
the only really good joke in the show is Bordus being like, why would we ally with such a closed-minded society?
Everybody just stops and looks at him for a second. Like,
he says, like, they are terrible.
They are terrible.
I didn't need the Charlie and Isaac stuff. Like, I don't know.
I think out of all of it, I think the Clara and Isaac stuff was probably the worst for me. But I'm already tired of that whole thing. But
I didn't mind that so much. But again, if it had been done well, I don't think any of these stories were told well. But the one thing I did realize was while I was watching this is Claire is literally the Troy of the show. She is the punching bag. She's the one that keeps she gets her hopes up and then something goes wrong. And it's like, there's been no mind rape, but I'm sure that's coming. But maybe in the 4th season, who knows? But there's lots of possibilities in these stories. I just think maybe 2 episodes, 3 episodes, not all of them in one episode, getting very little time. Especially the Kaelon origin story. That's really important to the whole series, and it's really flat for me. They were abused. Yeah, great. Like, I get it. We got that already.
Yeah. The kids, I think, were the worst. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But Adam, we can always look at you for the positive side of things.
No, I listen. I don't know what the hell was wrong. When I watched these the first time around, I don't remember too much. But this time it made more of an impression. There's a lot of storylines. This episode was 1 hour and 16 minutes long. It was a long hour and quarter. It was.
But to its credit, 10 minutes of that is credits. So
maybe the Kaelon storyline I really did enjoy, and I thought it was about right. I did like the Charlie. I like Kevin. I think it was necessary to close that, and I like the way they did it through the storytelling of what had happened, because at that point we knew, but it wasn't clear. Are we seeing something in the present, or is something unless I missed it? And it was a subtitle.
Well, and Charlie is also a short-term character as well. So
yeah, but we also have
we also know she's going to she kind of has to hit her arc quickly.
Yeah, and she's like at the bottom of the arc right now. We're coming up, but I get why they did the Talia Jamal. What's his name?
Lamar.
Thank you.
I corrected somebody.
Thank you.
It's astounding.
I think
James like, what's going on?
But I think they could have done it twice rather than 3 times. At the
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah. Because I did think the ending was very funny. How beat up he was.
Oh yeah, and he spits at his teeth.
Sure.
And they're like, finally we can't do this really.
That should have been the second one.
I think there was a way for them to figure it out, like certain positions, maybe. I don't know, but
I think when you're dealing with a woman 10 times the strength of you, I think that might be a bigger issue, especially when she gets excited. So
the only one I would say is the Genesi storyline. I agree, it was too Mocklin-like. We didn't need that one, and I could have taken 15 minutes off the show.
Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me who played the main one because I recognize her, but I don't know why.
I think it was Eliza Taylor. I was trying to figure that out. She was from
Eliza Taylor, yeah. It's Vilka.
Who's Eliza Taylor?
Or maybe it was Sophina Brown was the captain, actually. And Eliza Taylor was the cyberneticist. Yes.
Maybe. She was in the 100, actually.
Oh, maybe that's where I know her from.
If you remember from that.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into it, boys. What do you say?
Sure.
All right. So let's, sorry, I only have one screen right now. But anyway, this is where we're at. We start off with this futuristic looking area. We don't really know what's going on here. And then we see this alien kid, and he's very excited that his dad's coming home. And the daughter is also very glad as well. They're both very excited for what's coming in. He's got some sort of crate of some sort. And honestly, until this point, I totally didn't remember this episode. And then once I saw him, obviously, I kind of remembered it a little bit more. But overall, we open up the crate. The crate had a really neat opening sequence. I thought that was pretty cool. And they all get to see the nice orange glow of the chamber. And it turns out it's an Isaac. Only because I can't remember the actual racist name again.
Kalon.
Kalon, see?
Kalon.
I was up here and now I'm back down here again, guys. That's just how it works. All right, but anyway, here's our title card from Unknown Graves. Pretty cool little thing, I thought. And we open up to essentially an end of sex scene with Lamar and Talia. She's broken a couple ribs of his. She got a little too frisky. So anyway, we end up jumping over to basically they talk about how he's got to go to the med bay. And we have Claire, and she's talking to some orange-haired intern who I've never seen before. Maybe she's been on before. I don't know. But anyway, I guess I think
she's the replacement for that nurse who got turned into a weird alien thingy demon.
Oh, thing. Yeah. I guess she would need a new one.
Yeah,
because the Asian guy is gone now.
Yeah, he got turned into a weird alien thing.
Yeah, which actually looked really cool. But anyway, Lamar's like, yeah, no, I was doing a training program and I hurt myself. And she's like, again? So we know that this is a ongoing issue. So Claire's like, well, I gotta go. Don't bother me.
This dialogue was pretty good because he was like, yeah, I'm doing these workouts and this training. And she's like, well, maybe you need to take a break. And he's like, but it's really good. Like, this is really good training.
To be honest, I didn't even notice that. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So anyway, Claire's in her loungewear, so to speak. And she's meeting Isaac at the virtual restaurant thing that they seem to like to go to. He ends up turning into the human version.
And castigating her for being 8 minutes late.
Yes, yeah. He basically told her off, and she's like, "Yeah, I had some last minute patients and stuff." When in reality, that whole scene didn't take 8 minutes, so she was running late anyway. Let's be honest. So Claire's a liar. That's what we need to get.
Well, she had to change.
Claire's a liar. Like that's all there is to it. So, no, she's a liar. Let's move on. All right, but no, I'm just kidding. But anyway, they have a discussion about being at dinner and stuff like that, and I don't even really remember anything more than this on this scene. This is one of those scenes.
No, he was making cracks like you look good enough to eat and
oh yes, and it's because he was.
And Kevin, you're right. Like, this was just dry.
Oh, I'm so done with those.
I thought it was nice.
Like Isaac is trying in his own way to like. This is what I just don't get. How is she trying to make this a relationship? She's very clear on what he is.
I don't know why she's trying, quite honestly. But anyway, but anyway, we get a meeting where Mercer has discussed that they're going to try to have some relations with what's the alien race?
Genesi.
Genesi, that's it.
Do the Genesi ever come back in the next few episodes?
I don't think so.
Okay, so could have been totally gone.
Probably. But we'll see if they do. But who knows? But anyway, he basically explains how they want to become allies with these guys. They've accepted to meet with them, and their entire hierarchy is female based. Which I believe we saw this in Angel 1, did we not, in TNG?
Mm-hmm. This is even taking it further, I think. Like
it is.
They're treating their men, I'd say even, like, they just recently allowed them to start learning how to read, apparently.
Well, and the men of other races, too. Like, they're demanding that the men of other species be subjugated as well if they're going to do business, right?
Yeah, so this eye roll pretty much encapsulates how I feel about this particular part of the show. So, anyway, but we get to see a cool shot of their ship, which is very diamond formation like, and we get to see the shuttle that comes out. This shuttle is very underwhelming. Looks like a droid head from Star Wars.
But again, the question begs is like, how far is the Union going to go to ally themselves with other races just so they can fight the Kaelon?
Yeah.
Right.
So this is the first time we actually get to see that certain people are in the wrong outfits because they're masquerading that they run the show.
Obviously more obvious here with Tala because she's in the blue command, and their ranks have changed. Charlie's wearing lieutenant commander stripes, and Tala's wearing commander, and of course Kelly's wearing captain. But
of course, the plan doomed to fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
This whole plan that okay, we're going to put our women out front and pretend like they're in charge, but at some point they know they have to try to reveal the truth, and that's going to not probably go over well. So it's not great.
Through this whole episode, all I'm thinking of, this is basically a plot to a Saved by the Bell episode. Because literally they come up with some outrageously stupid thing that doesn't work.
And there's a wacky misunderstanding.
There's a misunderstanding. Yeah, exactly. But the alien costumes, how do you feel about those, Dave?
The costume is whatever. I thought their makeup design was interesting. I
thought they looked great. Like their face, those implants or whatever they were, they look amazing.
Yeah. It's like they ran into a Bejeweled machine or something. But either way, they basically say, we'll see you everywhere, and they kind of. Essentially, Kelly kind of explains that the women are in charge, the men just serve them, blah blah blah, and then we see these two goofs show up.
Yeah, I'm a big uniform guy, and what I really loved was kind of because we knew that Kelly was before she was in the Command Blue, she wore Science Green. And it makes sense that Ed wore orange before he, in the operations team, and Bordas, we'll see, wears the red security, as well. So I thought that was fun and informative, and good for the uniform nerds like me.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think this whole luggage carrying scene took a little long.
Yeah, it's not that funny.
It took a little long by existing at all.
The only thing that turns out funny, I think, really from this whole bit is when they say, "Are all your men this slow?" and Kelly and Tala just go, "Yes," and that's funny. I think for no matter who you are. So I feel like this whole storyline with the Genesi is just that this is what will be our comedy beats in the episode, along with the whole. Tala and Lamar of things, right?
Yeah.
Because the rest of it's pretty heavy, and pretty deep. And comedically, I don't know, I get your point that it's some of these jokes are a little long, or they're not, they don't,
the only thing I liked about the whole thing was the trip at the end, which I don't think I even got a picture of, but Mercer, as he's leaving to go into the quarters where they're dropping all the bags, I think he falls down or something.
Yeah. That's not my kind of humor either. So
I just thought it was interesting to add in. It's not something you normally see in this type of show, but it was there. I did like this little the scene here where Kelly basically gives him shit for sitting in the chair. She's like, yeah, no, I'm in charge. You're not. Get the fuck out of the chair. So then she moves him over to the helm position.
Right. Well, he says she's right. Kelly's right, and that what if they come to the bridge? So everyone's kind of playing their part. And there's, I guess, this feeling here that like there's no way the Mocklins and the Genesi could ever be like really get along, because the Mocklins are so pro male and the Genesi are so pro female, right?
I'm actually surprised there wasn't some sort of subplot where like we find out that they've already had a war or something. And the Mocklins, absolutely hate them or something, and that's why they have to hide Bortus. But turns out they just have to hide Bortus because he's male. And he's Mocklin.
And they're like, maybe you should just take the night off. But then this thing comes up where they have the away mission, so he has something to do. But
yeah, he's like, go take the night off, and he leaves. And Charlie's like, oh, we found like there's an energy signature on this desolate planet that shouldn't be there, which seems to be a constant trope. But it is what it is. I do love these shuttles. I'm gonna say it again. I love them. But anyway, we get to see the moon from the thing, and I guess we're in a flashback again. Every time guys, we're in a flashback.
Because it's an extinct race, so that's how we're
very distinct. Yeah. But the fact that they transition from we're about to go land on the planet with the energy source to this kind of, I don't know. I didn't find it flowed correctly, but that's just me, I guess. But anyway, we see that this, I can't remember what they named this guy, but
K1.
K1? Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, and I do wonder if he's the one who goes on to become the leader of the Kaelon himself.
That's a good point. Yeah, I never thought of that.
Wasn't he called Kaelon 1 or something? Or Kaelon Prime? Or
K1.
Yeah. So...
Well, there you go. That's an origin story I didn't realize we had. But basically, he's a server robot. And at the beginning, we were okay with, like, I don't know about you guys, but I was okay with how they treated him and stuff like that. And then as it progressed, it started getting way worse. But it's like, oh, wow, this guy's a douche. Especially the main guy of the family there.
Total asshole. Is a good, like, this stuff is strong, just not enough of it. Like, there could have been more.
They could have shown more families and more tasks they were doing. Like it would have been cool to see like like them working in a factory or dangerous work where they just got killed, and like I think that would have been more impactful than just the one family. However, it was pretty impactful when Jody, you called it out, when the kids were using the pain.
That was brutal. That was brutal. I mean, the whole time I'm like, I just want to punch those kids.
Yeah, well,
but they got punched already. I guess that was the whole point, but anyway, so we go back to present day where they're taking the shuttle in and they're going into this like cavernous area where it turns out there's like, almost like a city building kind of thing going on.
It's an old abandoned mining colony or something, and
which looks an awful lot. Anybody who remembers the original version of Total Recall, it looks like the pyramids that had the mechanism in to make water, make air. Yeah. But anyway, so I just thought that was kind of neat. I'm sure that's not related in any way, but anyway, so they get in. You never know, actually, with Firelane, but anyway, so they get on this thing. They're looking through. Turns out they found this elevator, and they're like, okay, well, I guess we'll just go into this foreign elevator. Who cares? Like, that could have been one of those, in Futurama where they had the suicide booths. That could have been a suicide booth. How did they know? Right? But I guess they must have knew somehow.
Yeah, there's a couple times where I think Bortus says, "Can we use our weapons yet?" And he's like, "Not yet, but be ready."
Not yet, but be ready.
This is kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, it lands into this area, and then we get greeted by K1, and everybody's like, "We should just shoot this guy." That's a good idea. Let's just shoot this guy. Like Charlie's ready to shoot him.
Well, nobody shoots.
Nobody shoots though. Yeah, but she's like, "Can I just kill him?"
I would have shot him on sight. So I think that they're all
especially
pretty...
with what these guys have been through with the K1, right? Like like kind of makes sense to go nuts on him, but he's also got orange eyes, which are different. So obviously he's a different breed. And then we get, I can't remember the assistant's name, but we'll call her Flathead. Flathead there.
Her name is Vilka.
Vilka. Okay, well, I guess we'll call her Vilka until I forget again, which will be shortly. But anyway, Vilka introduces and basically says, oh, he's not the ones that you're used to. He's different. I found him a year ago. He crashed, blah blah blah. But he was in the war, or whatever you call that excursion that happened. But he was in that war and he crash landed on this planet, and the other two that were with him died,
Right.
or they got incinerated or whatever.
Sounds like a you story.
Funny enough, yeah, it really is.
And then they just happen to encounter like the most brilliant cyberneticist and his daughter on this planet as well. So
yeah, because they were there researching something else or something like that. Or oh no, they picked up the signal that he was there first. Yeah. But anyway, they take this lady who they have no idea who she is, and they take her and this this guy who happens to be part of the enemy race that they're currently fighting, and they just let them into the science lab of their ship because that's.
Well, this is a chance at peace.
It's always a chance at peace, Dave, and that never works out, does it?
Give peace a chance, John Lennon.
I really thought during this too, like she was talking about her father and whatnot. I really thought they were going to pull a switcheroo. And it was going to be like she killed her father, and these two are in cahoots.
Yeah, like
that would have been better.
Because normally an episode has some kind of a twist like that, and this doesn't. That's what really was like when this episode ends. I'm just like, oh, that I thought I expected something with the Genesi to blow up, for these storylines to conflict or to somehow converge, because that would be pretty standard. But that's not what happens. It's like an hour and a half of just like, this is a week in the life of the Orville kind of, and this is what happened.
Yeah,
which is fine. Like this story is fine. The Kalon origin and all of it is fine with me. It's just the other stuff. I could have done it out.
And if it was just the Kalon stuff, you could make this a 45-minute episode, I think, or maybe a little longer. But because the Genesi thing and the even the Lamar and Tala of it all,
add that in. That doesn't take up much time. You can still add that in, but
right. So
for your comic relief,
it seems like we would probably cut the Genesi story collectively if we were doing a rewrite on this.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. But basically, Lamar is very interested in him, especially in the fact that he appears to be able to feel emotions and whatnot. And the doctor explains that they've been working on that. And Charlie comes in and basically says, Lamar, I need you because I have to fake being the chief. And I need you to tell me what all this stuff means. And he's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I guess we better go.
And this actor, Graham Hamilton, who plays what tennis they name him here, but he's the same actor who played Kalon Primary in like the whole two-parter last season. He's the one playing the flashback Kalon as well.
Flashbacks with Dave.
But I'm sorry to steal your. But what I enjoyed about
it, I got nothing to do now.
Well, it's a very different performance than what Mark Jackson's bringing in Isaac, right? They feel like very different individuals.
They are very different. Even when they're in the same room, they feel very different, yeah. But anyway, so we go over to engineering, and all the males are being rounded up and told to take off. And I did like the line where, what's his name? The goo guy. Yafid?
Yafid?
Hey, there you go. I got another one. Yafid basically is like, oh, this is bullshit. he's like
I think that big guy is like, they can't tell if I'm a male or not. You're literally a walking dick. Like, so.
I think that was kind of the joke. And I didn't get the shot of it, but all the women that were standing at the console were all like, woo!
Bye, boys!
Bye, boys!
I'd be like, see you later. Like, you could have all the work for the rest of the day.
Yeah, you guys are working.
I'm going to the bar.
Yeah, we're going to the bar. Because there's a severe alcoholic problem going on in this ship. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But basically, Charlie's like, yeah, she's winging it. She's doing a pretty good job. Now, I specifically grabbed this screenshot. And the reason why I grabbed this screenshot, guys, is I don't know if you noticed, but over here...
The warp core?
It looks like a warp core. Yeah. I just
thought that was the first thing I noticed when you put that shot up.
Yeah. That was the whole thing. I the minute I saw it, I'm like, I got to make sure I have this one. So, but anyway, I thought that was... I'm again, don't know if it's a nod or not, but it's still pretty awesome. It looks pretty spot on though, other than obviously colors and stuff like that. But anyway, and then you see Lamar. Lamar's like, hey, I need to talk to you from the hallway. He eventually takes her and he's like, oh yeah, no. Now this scene I thought took way too long. This is the only scene out of these guys that I thought was an issue. Because, like, this took forever. They sat down, and she's like, well, we can't be together because I'm going to break you. And he's like, but I want to be broken. And it's like, we can't be together. And then they start kissing and stuff.
No, I actually like this. And this joke here was really good.
Where she grabs his arm, and he goes,
yeah,
out.
And he's like, ah.
I'm just playing, yeah.
Dick.
I actually like this scene. I thought
I like them as a couple too.
Yeah.
I do like them as a couple, but I just don't know if I needed all this scene. That's all. But it's just me. But what can you do? I'm a pretty negative guy. But anyway, so here we are now. We're back to another flashback, and the kids are watching this globe ball thing, and they're being served. They're with their parents, and
Isn't this like this in Star Wars where Palpatine is watching the weird squiggly things? It's kind of like a miniaturized version of that. It felt like
yeah. So this is where I instantly didn't like the parents. The kids I was still okay with at this point, but later we get to see the kids. But he's like, I told you to do this, go away. And he's like, he first says, what are you guys doing? And he's like, well, this is entertainment, which I still don't see how, but anyway. And then he's like, okay, well, you can go now. And he's trying to ask more questions. And they're like, you just go, basically.
And sorry, I was mistaken about, so the actor Graham Hamilton is playing this one, K1, but the tennis is played by a different actor, Christopher Larkin.
I didn't even notice.
So Christopher Larkin and Liza Taylor were on the 100 together.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Fun facts with Adam.
Fun facts with Adam later. But anyway, so he goes back and they all go to sleep, and he basically wakes back up in the middle of the night. Or no, he just goes to sleep. No. Later on it happens. So anyway, we're back to standard, and she's explaining whatever her name is. She's explaining to Lamar.
This is Liza Taylor.
Okay. Well, either way, flathead. So you'll never change me, boys.
No.
But anyway, she's basically explaining how like the modifications happened with him, and Lamar is very intrigued. And then Isaac shows up, and he's like, "Am I interrupting anything?" Like he cares. But anyway, so the two of them start talking, and Isaac kind of clues in that like this guy's got massive remorse for what was going on. Like he's like, we were so wrong in what we did, blah blah blah, and all this. And then Isaac, I think he said something. What was it? Something along the line of like, now I have a soul or something like that, or I can't remember the exact thing.
No, he's just trying to tell Isaac like, these emotions have been such a gift. They've opened up
that's right.
to completely thinking differently, and you can experience this too, Isaac. And so he wants him to be the same, or to have the same experience.
If you only had a heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got a brain. He's okay there. So anyway, we get to see the Admiral again, and basically, at this point, they're trying to. I don't even remember what they're complaining about.
Well, they're talking about two things. They talk about the tennis and the whole Kalon thing of it all, and the fact that they're willing to share the research, and it seems all up in the up. And then there's the whole thing with the Genesi, and they're still skeptical, but we're working them with our big lie, which we're going to then pull the wool over their eyes or something, or reveal it and go, hey.
As an admiral, would you not look at this plan and go, this is ridiculous and you shouldn't be doing it?
You should be. This is like this is a long-term play here. You gotta go in with the honesty, because to your point, they're gonna find out eventually. Like,
oh yeah.
It seems
Some
like
would say by the end of the episode.
It seems like they could have sent a ship that already has a woman captain and a woman first officer, and it probably would have been a better fit than trying to to do this whole runaround maneuver, But hey,
I did like the little thing where the Admiral's like, "Oh, you guys look really good in those uniforms. Maybe we'll keep it permanent."
Yeah, and then she kicks him out of the chair.
She's like, "Get out of my office." And he's like, screw it. Yeah, there you go. I got it. I got his. I have to admit, McFarlane did some pretty good facial expressions. Maybe not always on purpose, but anyway, she takes over his office, and then we get another thing where basically, again, Lamar has.
You heard the crack on this one. You heard the break.
Yeah, you heard the break. Yeah. And this one's pelvic and
his leg.
Femur. Yeah,
femur and his pelvic bone. Yeah.
This guy's got either a very high tolerance, because I mean that would really hurt.
Well, he does a good job on selling it here, but I still don't think you'd be able to even lift that leg.
No, the broken femur, no.
And a cracked pelvis. You can't even walk with that.
Yeah. So the fact that he's like clinching to everything, I did like the fact that Isaac's like, can I help you with something? And he's like, yeah, I'm just making my way. And he goes, well, do you want me to carry you? And he's like, no, man, I don't want you to carry me. And then
I would be like, yeah, I do.
Yeah. Hey, I would imagine the pain was so terrible. Yeah, I'd totally be okay with them carrying me.
This nurse has a name, by the way.
Does she? What's her name?
Her name is Nurse Natalie Hopkins.
Natalie Hopkins. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just another character for us to know.
I'm totally not going to remember.
No, I don't think you're going to remember that.
I barely remember the cast. But anyway, so yet again, he's been dropped off to sick bay. And this time she's like, you're going to tell me what's going on because you got a broken pelvis and a femur. I'm like, what the fuck? What are you doing? So anyway, then she leaves him again in the care of the other lady who I've already forgotten her name. And Hopkins.
Nurse Hopkins.
Hopkins, there you go. So anyway, she goes to Isaac, and is this where she's like, are you thinking about doing this? Because he says,
she asks him about tennis, and that, and then he's like, yeah, he offered me the chance to have emotions, and I was like, what's the point? It was kind of like I'm paraphrasing, but Isaac was like, there's no real, I don't see an advantage, and Claire's kind of disturbed by all that. She doesn't really understand why he doesn't even consider how it could affect her.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so anyway, they basically just have this little thing, and I don't remember what she says at the end. She does say something. But she says it kind of to herself. Now I liked this scene. Mm-hmm, I did like this scene. So this is the guy who I guess is in charge of the company that made all these things, made all the
Kaylon. Yeah, the Isaacs because it's kind of confusing because I think this species name is also Kaylon, but then the artificial Kaylons are also called Kaylon. So
it can be a little confusing for sure. But I did like the background scenery and stuff. It looks pretty cool. And they have that tile that you can find in every bathroom in any corporate building. They have that tile, which is pretty good. That pixel tile. I like that. But anyway, he basically explains how I guess this is his assistant or one of the higher ups. And she's like, yeah, we're getting tons of reports. We got I think he said 35,000 or something like that.
Yeah, ranging from small arguments with the owners and
total defiance and
54,000.
Yeah, 54,000. That there could be what happens when somebody gets hurt or whatever, and and then he reveals that I kind of knew this could happen with the artificial intelligence. It learns and adapts. Felt very relevant to today, even though this is only 3 years ago. But it felt a little bit.
Yeah, it did feel
ahead
a
of
little
its time.
interesting. Yeah.
Well, did you guys at all think when that package arrived at the door that the big Apple symbol on it? It's like open to you.
You thought it was a new iPad or something?
I'm not sure Apple is the problem I'm worried about right now, but anyway.
And then they said
whoever's going to do, somebody's going to develop something like this.
This is more like a Tesla thing, I think.
So he's not willing to do a recall on the units, so he's just going to introduce this new pain delivery method or something. And how are we going to sell this to the public? I don't know. They're idiots. Look who they elected was the other.
Do you guys remember the two-parter?
It's an agonizer.
It's an agonizer.
Yeah, the two-parter of TNG where Picard goes undercover and he's with.
Oh yeah, it's similar to that. With there are 4 lights.
No, I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the. I can't remember the name of the episode. It's a two-parter.
Oh, is it? I know what one you're talking about.
It's with the pirates.
Where they're looking for the artifacts.
Yes, the
where
artifact.
he's
and Riker joins us. Galen. Yeah,
his name is Galen.
Yeah, that's what.
Gambit is the two-parter.
Gambit is the two-parter. Yeah, you're right. But anyway, and he's like, yeah, no, we can't do that because that'll bankrupt our company or whatever. So obviously, this is a civilization that does still have currency.
Not foreseeing that, of course, they're all going to get wiped out.
Oh no! Course. Well,
they didn't think about that.
Well, Skynet didn't think of it either, but it turned out that was a bad idea.
But the arrogance of the creators, the biological creators here, I think, is also one of the main
So you know
parts.
what was going through my mind in this scene was if you go back to the scene where they were on Kale or whatever the home planet is, I guess it's this, all the piles of bones.
Oh yeah, because these guys are the bones.
Right.
Which we find out
they are going to be genocided.
Yeah, these guys are all going to be wiped out. And I did like the fact that they went to their local fair and got one of those laser etched pieces of glass. But anyway, so we end up going back to now times. And at this point, I don't even remember this conversation, if anybody remembers. Because Kelly tells them to do something, but I don't remember what it was. Anyone?
Are they getting ready for dinner here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. She's giving her the speech. They're giving them the speech about how, blah, blah, blah. We have to, make sure everything's good. And then she says to the boys as well, she's like, you guys just sit there and shut up and be quiet and act like, and then Mercer's like, act like you're at an admiral's dinner and you're a cadet.
Yeah, the Genesi are even offended that they're in the room.
Yeah, they're very upset about that. But yet we find out that they're allowed to take multiple mates and they just use them as they please. So it's like, well, make up your fucking mind. Which way are we going to go here?
Yeah, well, these Genesi are kind of like, what if women were as bad as men, have been in, or still are in some cases, in some cultures, and how unbecoming on women it really comes across, or anybody really for that matter. But, it's meant to be a shoe on the other foot kind of thing.
Sure. I don't know what the healing process for a femur and a pelvic bone issue is, but man, he's standing pretty good now.
You got one of those light things. You just you rub that up.
I mean, Gordon had his leg regrown.
Yeah, it seems like injuries are like they might hurt a lot, but they're kind of temporary inconveniences unless you're dead. Unless they're enough to kill you or something. But
have we seen this emblem, Dave?
That's security.
Oh, is that the security one? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I've never seen it that close. Did somebody?
Yeah, we lost him.
Who did we lose? I can't see the screen right now.
It's almost
9.
Is it? I should have known better.
This is when Callie watches her favorite show, I think.
Yeah, she sucks up all the streams.
Yeah.
But anyways, well, hopefully he'll be back. I can't see the screen, so
I'm back.
Oh, great.
Yeah, he's
great.
back.
Oh, he's here. Yeah.
Oh, so we can't talk shit now. All right. Anyway, just kidding. I don't know what the hell they're eating, but it doesn't look very good. It looks like a squash of some sort.
Yeah. Some kind of squash involved.
I've never liked squash, guys, but that's a lesson for another day. But anyway, so
shouldn't Bordas have eaten all of the squash, including the skin
and the plate,
for that matter, and the fork and knife?
Why didn't they show these the Phoenices, whatever that Genesis, there we go. Why didn't they show him his little parlor trick where he can eat stuff?
Yeah, maybe they would have been impressed by males finally.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe that's all it takes is just somebody eating some glass or something. I can't remember this whole conversation, but
I can. This is the funny one. So they're talking about how they need, the doctor basically says, "I'll take this one for pleasure," and she's referring to Seth MacFarlane, right? Mercer.
Oh,
well,
that's
the first part of it is why do you think so poorly of the males? So, we don't hate our males. We love them, but they're a bunch of idiots, and they start wars, and they do stupid men shit, and I can kind of see their logic, but it's
and this lady who I don't remember her name, but.
She's like the first officer of the
She's like the first officer. She's like, I'm gonna have this one for tonight.
She likes his hands. They're very soft.
First she tries to get him to go get her more Chardonnay, and then she's like, you have soft hands. Can I borrow this one for sex or whatever? Or they're like, well, we don't really. I don't really use him for sex.
Who is he for? And she's like, well, he's not anybody's. And Claire's disgusted by this behavior, which let's just reiterate: she bangs robots and slime dudes. Okay,
yeah, but they're consenting. But
consensually.
Consensually, but the other favorite part was here was like Ed's not into with the first officer here, but like
Gordon's like, I'll go.
Gordon's like, I'll do it. I'll do it. You know, that was funny.
It was funny.
So, but basically, like they're just mortified, and then finally they come clean that Mercer's actually the one in charge, and they're deeply offended by this. They've been lied to.
Not impressed.
Kind of makes sense. You know.
Yeah, like
could have saw that one happening.
I didn't I just don't understand how they thought that this was going to go any differently than it does. You know, so it's
TV logic.
I know I'm skipping ahead, but even the logic argument that like they use on them at the end, where like Kelly cheated on me, and then we made up, and now she's my first officer. I don't understand what that proved to them. You know, like
exactly.
I don't get it either. I really don't.
I was in the same boat. I was like, I don't understand this resolution.
This must be a Braga written episode, isn't it?
Like, I don't know why this would turn them around. I don't know. You know, it isn't like I can follow their logic even if I don't agree with their morality. But like, you know, it's and then I think Bortus here is just like they are awful. They suck.
They are
just
awful.
So
Bortus's judgment is my favorite part of that whole storyline.
He doesn't get a lot to do in this episode, but man, some of the things he says are pretty good.
And he's like the most progressive Moclan man there is, almost. So,
but anyway, they've I don't remember what they're doing here. Is this when they're explaining what they're going to do to Isaac?
I think they're more looking into like the Kalon brain here, and that they could even make a weapon out of it potentially. And like,
I think they also explain here how she gave him emotions. Like, I like how they explained that it was through these pain
receptors
devices. Yeah,
right. That they were able to then expand it to be a good thing, right? So they turned up, you know. And then there's this whole confrontation here between Charlie and Tennis, which I thought was like, this was very interesting. And as well, and Vilka, you know, and talking about what slavery does to the enslaver, you know, and this dynamic of the disgust that they feel for the helplessness, and how that turns them even more sadistic and more cruel, and you know, and how that and the reaction here of the Kalon artificials and their uprising and what it, like, you know, I thought that was very not normally portrayed quite that way, and I think there was a lot of truth to it, you know, and I thought that was really good.
Well, it's definitely a lot of truth to it. I mean, that's exactly what happens in slavery, right? You start to hate the people you're enslaving for being weak.
Yes, I guess how you get to that point, you know, because or to that level of depravity and that level of you know, even for a kid, right? How kids even learn that, you know. And I thought that was well done in terms of how it's portrayed, because it's.
I like the way they portrayed it that way too, like that the kids were involved in that too, like they weren't pure of it, because it shows that this system of slavery will do this to anybody.
Oh yeah,
anybody. If you're
doesn't matter who.
If you have that power, you know, and then and how you, I think they hate themselves for it, you know, and it just breeds this more suffering.
Yeah. So then we go to a flashback where basically we see K1. He basically is. He's setting the table because I guess the wife asked for it to be done, and then the father figure comes in and he's like, "You're not doing that. You're doing this." You know, so there's already a conflict, and then the fact that he's like, "Well, you know, so and so already said to do this," and so he pulls
he's like, "I'll finish this and then I'll go do that,"
and he's like, "Nope, don't like that idea," and he just zaps him, and he instantly falls to the ground. Like it's not like it's a gradual thing. It's like full on. And this is when I totally hate this guy.
Well, you see, they look on his face too, right? It's cruelty, just
intense.
Cruelty.
It's a lot of things. Yeah, disgust and this kind of just like sadistic, you know.
So once I got to this actual scene, this is when I kind of clued in that the Kalon robots actually are supposed to look like these guys, right? Because
right. They're made in their image.
Gray heads, and in this case, kind of reddish orange eyes. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then you see these kids, and they're laughing up a storm. They're waiting for their snack, I guess. And then they just go completely ballistic on him. Like, they're like, yeah, we'll just keep zapping the shit out of this guy. And they're laughing their asses off. And I just wanted to smack these kids so hard. Especially that one.
Don't worry, they're going to get shot in the head.
Yeah, they're all going to die anyway. So, yeah. I also like the fact that they used the same tile on the table as well as they did on in the room. I guess they had some extra left over. So that's kind of nice. But anyway, I did like this shot though. This looks pretty cool.
You got the house, yeah.
Yeah, the house. So anyway, it's nighttime in the Manson household, and
Candace talks about how like the Kalon artificials are able to eventually create like this communication network, and they kind of create their own little.
They start basically. They have a little underground that they talk to each other with, and
they're like,
they're
tonight at midnight, kill all your people.
Were these Kalon originally made with these head guns? That seems like a flaw.
Yeah,
to make them with head guns.
Well, I guess maybe the logic is like to defend in the event of like an alien invasion or something like that.
Or an intruder.
Or an intruder, yeah.
Maybe it was installed for security purposes originally.
Yeah, maybe it's supposed to be security.
It's scary, regardless.
It's still dumb. It's still dumb as hell. Like why would
I wouldn't buy a robot with guns in its head either.
No, that's a bad idea.
No. Especially an AI robot, right? Like one that you don't control at all.
Right.
You know what? With the way that like Microsoft, whenever they update my Windows, they fuck it up hard. Just imagine what one software update could do to these guys. Like, this is gonna be a nightmare. A 0-day exploit where everybody can just access their guns and shoot everybody.
But this is extremely, Skynet, August 27th, 1997, they become self-aware.
I'm very impressed that you knew that date. I thought I was the only idiot that would.
Did it feel pretty fucking real to you too?
Well done. But anyway, so he awakes from his slumber, or whatever you want to call it, and he goes upstairs, and it's just very quiet.
It's murder time,
and they're still using that brick stuff. It's everywhere. But anyway, he's like, K1.
Dave's got the uniforms. You've got the housewares. I mean, this is great.
Yeah, Jody's related to tile. Interior design. We found it.
I don't know why I keep noticing it, but I do.
This is terrifying. This gun in the head. Like, honestly, every time they open up, I'm like, whoa.
Every time they open up, it looks just so terrible. Like, it's so menacing.
That doesn't look friendly. No,
there's nothing friendly about that. But anyway, we see it, and he gets shot right in that head. Like, it's bad.
He even tries to zap him with the pain thing before he gets killed, right?
Yeah, he tries to zap him, and it's like, yeah, no, that ain't gonna work. He's got lasers. That totally overwrites your little stun gun thing. But anyway, we see the two of them. They both got fucking destroyed. And then you get the menacing thing of him sitting in the... I like how they didn't show the kids get shot, but you got to see...
Or that the kids were asleep for it, basically. They didn't see it coming, but...
Yeah, but you just see like, bang, 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 and then that's it.
But I like that he didn't hesitate either. Like, it shows, like, it's over for these people.
Oh, yeah.
These people are getting wiped out.
But even the people who didn't own robots and tortured their robots, also got killed, right?
Yeah.
So this is where Charlie's kind of clued in that, the world isn't as the way she sees it, which is the Kalon are absolutely terrible. She's now kind of clued in a little bit. Not that,
Well, this is this, Charlie's been on this arc, right? This is the 7th episode where she's finally coming.
This is Charlie's arc, yeah.
I don't even buy, though, that this story would lessen her pain or make her more...
I don't think it's
understanding.
Pain.
I just don't think it would. It just doesn't seem like her, like what we know so far. And it doesn't, I don't know. I think it would take more than one.
I'm not a fan of this character to begin with, but I do agree with that. But I also think we also see signs of her kind of
Well, I think one of the big thing here is like one of the theme of the episodes is empathy, right? And I think this idea that Tennis is now that he has empathy, he's so much more. He sees the error of their ways and try to wipe out every biological. And I think that it's speaking to Charlie's empathy for the suffering they suffered as slaves, but it's never been. She knew that, but it was I guess the way Tennis tells the story is enough to turn her around here.
For her to at least think about it anyway. Yeah.
At least, have a little bit more empathy than she's had so far.
Yeah. So anyway, they're at this point we get Kelly. She's in her room drinking because that's kind of what she does. Claire walks in, and the first thing she says is, "Do you need a drink?"
Well, no, Kelly's not drinking alone. I mean, she usually does, but
this time she doesn't want to drink alone. But this conversation, I don't remember exactly what they talk about, but I remember it being okay.
She basically says, "Just ask Isaac to change."
Oh yeah, because Claire's like, I want him to change, but I don't think it's fair for him to change.
To have to change for me, but she talks about her relationship with Ed. I thought this was actually one of the better written scenes in the episode, where she's like, "Well, we would fight about him working too much, and we would fight, about this and that, but we never really fought about like, hey, I want you to change in this way for me. Are you, is that what?" And and helping Claire get over her guilt of asking Isaac to make a decision he wouldn't make on his own, but to do it for her. And for her needs, so I thought it was pretty well done.
Yeah, I was okay with it. So then we end up getting, we see a little bit of conversation going on between these two. I can't remember again what
they're talking about the whole him and Tala. And the fact that I think, is this where she's like their relationship's starting to not go well, or Tala's having a lot of thoughts.
He's like, you could have sex once a year with a helmet.
Yeah. And then he says, "No, I'm serious." And I was like, "Yeah, I think he is serious." And I think maybe he should wear a helmet or some like football pads or something.
Can't they find like some sort of like condom force field kind of thing?
I feel like there'd be something maybe with the holodeck, whatever, that you could find a way to maybe
beef them up or something.
Or like,
I thought what they were going to do is eventually Lamar would fucking admit that this is happening to Claire, and Claire would be like, "Oh, I can fix that. Like, here's this solution." Like,
here we'll give you this. We'll give you this thing that will strengthen all your bones or something. Or maybe they'll
or maybe there'd be something to like.
Maybe they'll
Tala could take to temporarily take away some of her strength, or or diminish it a bit. But they talk about how others Salayans have gotten into relationships and people have died in sexual encounters with Salayans. So
yeah. So anyway, we go back to another Claire in the restaurant thing. They really get a lot of use out of this set. But
this is where it gets boring.
Yeah, it was so boring that I only literally got one screenshot of it. Was them just sitting there?
Well, this is where she asked Isaac to go through the procedure to get the emotions, and Isaac doesn't say much in the scene. Actually, it's mostly Claire.
Yeah, he doesn't. We don't even know that he's going to do it when this scene is over.
So there was one thing that really bothered me about this scene, and I'll tell you what it is. It's this table right here. Because in one of the closer up scenes, you can see that this vase is completely different than all the other ones. And it pissed me off, and I don't know why. So again, apparently I'm now the interior decorator.
You're the set decorator now.
I'm now the set decorator, yeah. But anyway, that pissed me off, and I don't know why.
Continuity. You should be on the continuity team.
Maybe. Now, I have to admit, this was great. This was great. Yeah, so we open up this shot with Tala just like crying, basically. And she's very upset. And then it finally scrolls over to him.
The reveal of him is funny with all the bruises.
He's just got the shit kicked out of him. So, yeah. And I did like the fact that, when he spits out 3 teeth. And she just looks at him like, you're lucky it's only 3. And then she has like terrible cry face. It was really well done. I liked it. But anyway, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to sick bay again."
and the dentist, I guess. And
the dentist, yeah, maybe. Like at this point, he's gonna need some sort of rehabilitation or something. Like
I just think they need. a sex therapist to help them figure it out. You know.
I think she just needs to not be so damn aggressive. I think that's the thing. Like
maybe that's just her nature.
Maybe like give her some weed or something first.
Maybe.
Yeah. But anyway, so we're back to Flathead and the other guy, and I can't even remember what they're.
Isaac shows up and basically asks to have it done.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's probably why I didn't bother to grab so many of that. Then we have Burster sitting in the office. Kelly comes in. And she's been studying some of the whatever that race is called. What is it? Geeglins? Genesi? Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. So Genesi culture, and she's found something that is of interest. She's like, well, let's use an example as an example, basically, and this is where they explain that she cheated on him and all this, which again, I agree to whoever said that earlier. Like, I have no idea why this is even irrelevant. It's just so, I don't know.
Basically, all this does is kind of like, get them to not be angry at them anymore and to reconsider that maybe, hey, we could have some kind of a dialogue.
But why does that actually work?
I don't know.
Me too. That's the problem I have.
Let's not spend any more time on this.
All right. So anyway, she's like, you can send another.
If you send an ambassador, we will receive her. I was like, they should send a man. They should send like Bortus. Really.
Well, I do like how
Yaphet.
Yaphet.
I like how Yaphet could look like a girl if you wanted to, but I like the fact that you can send a liaison or whatever, and then you can we will see her. So they actually say her, which I thought was pretty good. So then we have Claire. Claire, she receives a package at her door. And at this point, she goes and opens it. It says, come to dinner. She's very tickled by that. And then she opens it up. There's a dress in there. Now, I have to admit, this lady, for her age, looks fantastic in this dress. Good for her. She does. So,
and she knows it.
She knows it too. Yeah. Even these people that she's passing by, like, they knew.
We talked about this before, but Penny Johnson and Mark Jackson are like 20 years apart in age, but I feel like their chemistry works, and
it works better than chemistry of a lot of the other people on the ship. Yeah, for sure. So, but anyway, she gets greeted by him, and he now has the modification, and he is a completely over sappy asshole. But that's fine.
But this is the first time we've seen him act in any other way, so this is kind of cool.
Yeah, and he is a good actor. Like he for a guy who's wearing essentially a costume constantly, it kind of gives him a little bit of range to be able to actually do something. But this scene takes way too long. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says.
I actually feel like I could have done without the Genesi stuff and had him have emotions longer.
That would be fine by me.
Interact with more people.
Yeah.
And
I understand why
your comedy relief instead of
you can see how he reacts to like normal life. Like
he could have searched for the terms, guys.
Right. Yeah. They could have spent this hour and 15 minutes a little differently, but I was actually kind of getting emotional watching this scene, although Jane thought it was boring and dry.
Well, so, she's definitely the tougher of the two of you.
She is. That's true.
That makes more sense.
I am a Pisces, so you gotta.
I'm a Pisces too, Dave. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it means everything, Jody. It's why you're noticing those set decorations.
That's why I'm known to be so sensitive. That's
why you notice those vases with the different flowers.
Yeah, only one of them joined me. But anyway, they do this little dance number. I get why they had to make this as long as they could because of the fact that it's a short-lived thing for him, and it also like kind of he just turns back again. Like this, I actually think this is the scene right here where he just kind of like clicks back. It clicks off and he's back to normal again.
Yeah, and I don't like this either because it reminds me a lot of that 7 of 9 episode where like her Borg thing kicks in and stops her from having emotions. And I don't know. It felt just like let him be a new guy. I don't know. Like you don't need to change have a tragedy here. But
yeah, I don't know what race this singer is, but she was pretty good.
She's Well, but I also do kind of like from a storytelling point of view where, they say, okay, well, we can fix you, Isaac, and you can have the emotions all the time, but you would have to wipe all your memories out and you'd have to start from scratch, basically.
And he's willing to do it.
He's willing to do it.
Like the fact that she says no.
Yeah, she's like, no, then that's not the person that I fell in love with.
Well, she says no, and she also says that he says, I'm incapable of love, in this form, but she's like, what you're offering is a form of love, and I thought that was well written as well.
Yeah, I agree. But basically, yeah, we're not changing anything.
I feel like all of that would have been more impactful if he had had the emotions through more of the episode.
Yeah, I agree, totally. Yeah,
it reminds me of what was it? Is it First Contact where? Yeah, it's First Contact where Data gets the piece of skin on him, right?
There's that, but there's also in Generations where he's dealing with the emotions for the first time, right?
Yeah, the emotion chip. Yeah.
And I hate this and drinking things and I don't know and
do you want some more? Why, yes. I hate this. It's revolting.
Yeah, it is revolting.
But we get this scene with Charlie and him, and she's like, do you need any help, kind of thing. But she you can see how she's kind of
warming up.
She's warming up a bit. Yeah, she's not there, but she's
trying.
She's moving forward. Which is
she's like, do you want me to help you with the whatever? He's recalibrating the engine or whatever. He's like, no, your intelligence is inferior, and you'll just make this tougher.
So inferior. Yeah.
Should be a hindrance rather than a help.
Yeah.
But I did like her reaction to that because previously when he said stuff like that, she reacts very negatively. Mm-hmm. But then on this one, she just kind of blows it off, which I thought was kind of interesting.
She says, a week ago, I would have punched you in the face for that. And he says, that would have caused injury.
yeah, that would result in injury because my face is made of metal.
Right, so. Yeah. So, but anyway, we end up going back to, actually,
nope,
you know
that's
what?
The beginning.
We're at the end of it.
We're at the end.
Apparently. Yeah, I'm not used to this program. But anyway, that's it. So, away we go. All right. So,
all right, Dave. I think you brought my rating up a bit.
I think you brought mine down a bit, but it's good. So. I was feeling a 10. I'm like, no, it's not a 10. It's maybe somewhere between 8 and 10.
But guys, there is one thing that does always make me feel like I'm a 10, and that is, of course, the one, the only. That is the guy who I can't find his thing right now, but it is Fun Facts with Adam.
Fun Facts with Adam.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I loved it. It was good. I haven't heard that one in a while. I wanted to hear it.
It's been a month.
In a month.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go at it. Let's give it.
Okay. Audiences generally assume that Timmis and K1 are the same person, and that Timmis has been recalling his past from KLN1. However, that might not be the case. Timmis and K1 are played by two different actors, Christopher Larkin and Graham Hamilton.
I wouldn't have known that.
Which implies they are different.
Yeah.
Hamilton played the earlier K1 primary in the story of K1. Actually, maybe in the origin K1 primary, but not Timmis. That would also imply that K1 stands for K1 primary.
But K1 primary also, but he had red eyes, not orange.
Yeah, but they can change their eye color because we've seen that with Isaac, right?
Only in dreams, but
no, we saw when he was taken over. He had red eyes.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Well, I could be wrong. Who knows? I'm just sitting here in my console, Dave, doing my calculations.
Okay. Charlie Burke states that the Orville is now capable of speeds up to 17 light years per hour. This is a significant increase over its old top speed of 10 light years per hour, mentioned by Ed Mercer and Priya.
It's pretty fast.
Yeah, I guess.
That's warp 17, isn't it? Technically?
I'd have to get a scale. I don't know.
I don't remember.
Those calculations are not off the top of my head. It's like warp 5 is like twice as fast as warp 4. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, it doesn't increase. Yeah.
Exponential.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The Genesi first appeared in the anecdote told by Tala in All World is a Birthday Cake. So they've been mentioned before.
Oh, I included that.
Nor did I. That's pretty. That's pretty.
That's quite the callback.
Yeah, that really is. That would be like a trivia question done by Ashley and screw me up.
And I would get it.
And you would get it.
This episode's title, From Unknown Graves, is a quote from the abolitionist poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's poem, The Witnesses, from the book Poems of Slavery. Specifically, the final stanza, which reads, "These are the woes of slaves. They glare from the abyss. They cry from unknown graves. We are the witnesses." Okay, we already talked about this. The drive and how fast the ship goes. The name of the matriarchal species, Genesi, sounds close to the word Genesium, which refers to women's quarters in ancient Greece and Rome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The episode is the epitome from the Einstein quote: "Men marry women with the hope they'll never change. Women marry men with the hope that they will change." But both the Doctor and Kelly truly believe the men they love need to change to be with them instead of finding men they love for who they are.
Yeah, because it would be a different storyline, I think, if it was like if Isaac was a female Kaylon and maybe going with a male character, a doctor or whatever, and ask. I don't know if it would play the same.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And as both, I think everybody said, this really hinted to the episode Measure of a Man, which we're coming up to in Next Gen, building a race of robots or androids to work as slaves.
Right.
And, as you guys are saying, this is getting more and more relevant, I think,
Sadly.
Well, yeah, it's interesting, the gloom over the subject now, I find. When it was more of just a hypothetical science fiction idea, but now when I bring it up.
Oh, nothing's original, Dave. They're stealing everything.
Yeah. What's that line when you realize ghosts are real? That's when you are more afraid or something like that. I can't remember the exact quote. I'm sure I butchered the hell out of that.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
it's true. When you figure out the demons are actually real, that's a problem.
Okay.
True.
So let's move on to the rating before we get more depressed.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
You didn't have any more fun facts?
There's not a lot of fun facts on this episode, really.
Oh.
There's not a story in this episode, though.
All right. Well, shall we do ratings, gentlemen?
Yes.
Why not? Why not? All right. So, Adam, let's start with you.
I'm going to give this a 7.5. I'll give it an 8. It was good. I liked the Kaylon story that we got told. That brought it up for me.
Fair enough. All right, Dave.
Yeah. I think if it was just the Kaylon story purely, I think it would be definitely a 10. I think with this Genesi stuff, it's a bit muddled, a little bit unfocused of an episode. So I'm going down to 8.5. I think.
All right, Kevin.
7.5.
Wow, that's way higher than I thought it would be.
Well, yeah, it was going to be lower than that, but as we went through it, I realized that this Kaylon stuff actually wasn't shallow. Like it was told well. Yeah. I just couldn't see it because the rest of the episode is just.
It would have been a stronger episode if they gave us more, for sure, more on that.
So you guys have convinced me to go up in my rating because originally walking in, I thought I was going at 6.5. That's where I was kind of sitting, but I think I'm going to bring that up to. You know what? I got to bring it up to 7.5. I'm gonna be with Kevin on that one. So that puts us. Dave's gonna do it here. Hold on. There it is. All right. So 7.9 is our average. IMDb rates us at 8.4, which is the second highest rated episode of season 1 so far. Yeah. So our combined average is 8.1. So we're pretty much where we should be on that one.
I gotta say, we've had some good episodes, but I'm a little disappointed with this season 3. I thought we were going to get a lot more. They really ramped up this Kaylon war stuff, right? And
so
much going on.
When you think about it, though, if you look at it, we're 7 episodes in, and we're averaging right now. What is that? We're averaging, let's say,
we're for the whole season. We're averaging an 8.1. It's actually our highest rated season so far.
Yeah,
really.
So, but I think the one thing that hurts it a bit is actually the runtime. I think the runtime gives them more filler, and I think that actually hurts them.
I think this would be a better, this would be an amazing 45-minute episode, but you get kind of a bloated, hour and 15 minutes in some ways here.
Every episode this season, I've actually had to stop the clock to see how much time is left.
Yeah, me too. I'm just like, oh my god, there's another. At one point, I was like, there's another like 20 minutes and
I was at
whatever.
15.
Yeah. So when I capture the thing, I capture through VLC, right? So I can see the timeline bar at the bottom, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm only halfway through this episode, and I've already done like 300 screenshots. It's like, oh Jesus. But anyway.
It's basically it's the same amount of time you would get like in a 2-parter, right? Like on like a next gen episode or something, right? You're getting like 2 45-minute episodes smushed together as this 1 hour and a half episode, or hour and 15, I guess. But it's if it had commercials, it would feel like really long.
Oh, for sure. And that I think is part of the reason why we feel like it's a little slower. You know what I mean? Like it's, to me, it feels in a lot of ways it's got a lot of filler.
But they're basically taking two storylines and then adding a third this season. Like they've got 3 things going on.
Yeah, and I think that in a way can actually hurt it a bit. But Dave, I know what you're going to ask me.
What's next?
Well, I'm glad you asked me. It is.
Is it going to take a month for us to watch it?
I hope not. Actually, we're scheduled.
God, I hope it's not that long.
Well, we had a lot of things.
We should be done in a month.
Actually, we are going to be done at the last day of the month if we keep to our schedule.
All right.
So,
next episode, though, Jody,
is Midnight Blue, and that is the 8th episode. And it's when Kelly and Bortus visit the sanctuary for an inspection. Topa tags along, but the leader of the sanctuary has plans for Topa, which jeopardizes the delicate agreement between Moculus and the rest of the Planetary Union.
Yeah, so it's another Mocklin episode. Get ready.
Get ready for them Mocklins.
I think this was my favorite episode of the season, if I'm remembering.
I don't even remember this episode, so I'm kind of looking forward to watching it. So
I've been pretty high rating on the Mocklin episodes.
I like the
I've enjoyed those. Yeah,
I think this was my favorite one of all of them. So hopefully, it's been 3 years since I watched it, but we'll see if it holds up.
I don't even remember what I did last week, so I'm surprised that you can remember that. That's amazing, because I don't remember anything about
There's
this.
There's a particular reason I remember it so well.
Okay. And
so we'll talk about that next time.
Sounds good. But Dave, you know what? It's not always Orville here on this channel.
No.
There's other things going on, such as interviews with celebrities.
Yeah, with Tim Russ. If we mentioned at the top, we'll mention it again. Go watch the Tim Russ interview. For us, we talked to him for an hour and 20 minutes about a whole bunch of things. His time.
Surprisingly, not a lot of Star Trek. There was a lot of other things being discussed.
We talked about Star Trek, but we also talked about the Orville. We talked about his personal interests, his work in music. He's a very accomplished, bluesy kind of rock singer and guitar player, and we got to see him on the cruise. So
he's that was also a lot of fun. Astronomer too, right?
Astronomer, like he discovered a comet or something, or he at least got it. I don't know if he was the official discoverer of it, but he got a really nice photo of it.
Cool.
That he showed us. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool stuff. And then we also have what else? We have
I just interviewed Adam and Jane about the Star Trek cruise we went on. Go listen to that if you haven't already. And I'm gonna have Sean Farrick on for another interview in about a couple weeks, actually. Not till the 29th of March, but we're gonna be we'll talk. We were both on the cruise together, and we'll talk about that and a bunch of other things.
He added me as a friend on Facebook.
He's a great guy, Sean Farrick.
He is a nice guy, yeah.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy. But you know what? There comes a time where all things must end, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
but check out on Thursday. We'll be here for Next Generation. We're talking about A Matter of Honor.
I heard you're going to have a great guest on that one.
You're one of them, and
me?
It's you and Davin and Heather, yes.
Yeah, this should be a very interesting episode.
We'll see if Heather comes dressed as a Benzite or a Klingon. We'll see if
what it's always a wild card with her, and that's what I like about her. She always surprises us.
Yes,
because she even stays off camera half the time. While we're setting up, and then she eventually just shows us, and then we're like,
she would have really fit in on that cruise. I'm going to tell you. So
I'm surprised she wasn't there. Quite honestly,
I think she needs to go one day.
It sounds like
Yeah. Hey, it was good to see Ted back on last week too. It was.
Yes, Sam missed it.
Sam missed it.
Yeah, he
Sam.
Did. Yeah, wasn't there for the goat. What did he get to do?
I can't believe he wasn't there.
But my dad is specifically asked. He wants to come back for all the Borg episodes. He's got this fascination with the Borg. So I was like, all right, sure.
Well, I got to come back for a Borg episode too because I love the Borg.
He wants to be on the Q Who, and I think I have to have him. I think I have to have him on for Best of Both Worlds. So it's yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, but
my dad likes scary things sometimes, so it's gonna.
Whatever floats his boat. I'm just surprised you managed to get him to come back on. And he wasn't here to tell me I'm stupid.
He couldn't get his camera working, but who knows? So
yeah, I saw that.
It was good enough.
Maybe that was a blessing in disguise. Who knows?
He's going to Germany, I think, this weekend.
Or
maybe he left already. I don't know.
Such a traveler, that man.
Such a traveler. He's going to go see. He's got this fascination with the Celine Dion of Germany. I can't remember what her name is, but she's
I've never heard of such a thing, but okay.
She's it's like how David Hasselhoff's a huge star in Germany. I imagine this is the woman version of that. So
fair enough. All right, gentlemen. Well, unless anybody has anything, Kevin, do you want to promote your channel this time, or?
No, I'm all good, man.
All right. One of these days we're gonna get that channel, but we're gonna have that stash talk with Kevin.
If you need to know what channel I'm on, you're already watching it. This is it.
True.
And you know what? We wouldn't have it any other way.
Stay right here until I come back.
What if I have to go to the bathroom?
That's not my problem.
Yeah,
fair enough.
There's no bathrooms on the ship.
There's no bathrooms here. We don't even get paid scale either. So just so you know. But anyway, all right. Well, everybody, join us for the next voyage on Live Long and
to the journey,
and sometimes the destination.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.